Only a little piece on from the Ari on Shavuot, because Shavuot is connected to Pesach and the Yom. So, in other words, Pesach, the Jews got this tremendous infusion of energy because they didn't deserve it. They didn't prepare the vessel for it. It went away. Day after it went away. And because it went away, and because everything that happened was on a cosmic level. In other words, the Jews did not make any connection. The Jews didn't make any connection to what was going on. No connection. No connection. Talking about Pesach. What did they do? That was necessary. It was necessary, because if not, it wouldn't have worked for them. And we have to understand that everything that happened in Egypt, if the firstborn of the Egyptians were killed, the firstborn of the Jews were not killed. If the Egyptians drank it, the water turned into blood for the Egyptians. The blood stayed water for the Jews. All of these things that were happening were not happening because the Jews deserved it. It was not happening because the Jews were deserving it. In other words, what Hashem did at that point, I want you to sit down. What Hashem did at that point was to return the world to a world of Eitz HaChaim and Eitz HaDat. Eitz HaChaim, we know, means the world of certainty, like we discussed in the morning. When we speak of pollution, and we speak of air being polluted, or air which is Ze'anpin, which is central column, which is the resistance factor. The dominion of right column and restriction takes over. So how could there be pollution in the air? You should ask that question. How could there be pollution in the air? The same way, we ask this question, how could there be pollution in the water? Water is a right column element. If it's a right column element, then where does the pollution come from? What do you mean where pollution comes from? If you pour chemicals into a glass of water, poisonous chemicals into a glass of water, and it mixes up with the water, it's poisonous water. What do you mean it's poisonous water? If the water has such a power of right column, which means what? Force of the Lord, force of Hashem, then why doesn't it immediately vaporize it, neutralize it? How does water get polluted? Darkness, how it stays darkness, what happens? I could have an auditorium the size of a football field, light a match, what happens? Can you say there's so much darkness in the room that this one little match should not be able to light up the room, because the darkness is so big compared to this little match, how does it become light? Yet I can light up the whole room, the whole auditorium, with a little match. Why doesn't the darkness close it out? There's so much. The answer we learn all the time, is that when you have a force that works, it's not measured anymore in how big it is. How big it is. What does it depend on? On one thing. Is the force working? Or has the force been told, not so much? What do you mean not so much? Like electricity. When it has to come into a 5-watt bulb, what does the 5-watt bulb tell electricity? So that's all I want. Wait a minute, electricity can start a generator. In the age of in the period of restriction, the force can't work beyond that which is given permission to work. Can't work more than that which it was given permission. So in other words, in our world, there is limitation. There is limitation placed on the power of the force. Therefore, light even a match, if it's the room, a whole room, while the darkness doesn't cover it up or squeeze it out, doesn't do that. But it is limited. It is limited. Because what's the difference? A little light or a lot of light? The answer is that because in this world the light is governed by us, meaning the 5-watt bulb even can tell the electrical current, don't give me more than 5 watt. It'll burn me out. That's the reason why more doesn't come in, because it would burn us out. Bread of shame. Why would we be burnt out? Same like we say here. A lot of people come here. They leave. They get burnt out, we say. Why do they get burnt out? Because Baruch Hashem, there's a tremendous amount of energy that we generate here by the obvious methods, the Zohar, HaKavanot, everything else. Therefore, those who can't handle it have to get burnt out. That's why the obligation here is that we have to be even purer than those people on the outside. But we say the people on the outside, not all of them get burnt out. So the difference is between Zman Yemot HaMashiach today and what it was 300 years ago. It's true, 300 years ago people weren't burnt out. But when Avraham Azulai said we're allowed to learn Kabbalah, why did he say Hutzrak Zayda, we're allowed? Oh, we're allowed. What do you mean the others, the ones from before weren't allowed? The answer is, when Avraham Azulai said that Hutzrak Zayda, the decree not to learn Kabbalah, was taken off, what he meant was, the message he was told was, listen, the days that the light can be told, 5%. I want no more. Things are all right. The fact that the Jew the last 2,000 years had to move from place to place, it was hit over the head all the time because he didn't have the light. But it was more convenient for him to be able to tell the light, listen, light, the Jew, don't give me so much. Stupid. Without the light, you know what's going to happen tomorrow. They're going to drive you out of this country. If you had more light, they wouldn't drive you out. Why are you settling for less? But settle for less is more comfortable. Because to settle for more, it requires what? More restriction. Comes the age of Aquarius, Zman Yemot HaMashiach, Light doesn't ask no more. Light don't ask anymore. That's why, as many, whatever the account is in the Bet HaMikdash, Churban Bet HaMikdash, 100,000 they took away into captivity. They're different accounts. 6 million didn't perish then. 6 million didn't perish. And also we have to understand, there was such a small concentration. How big is Jerusalem? How big is Israel? 2 by 4. So they grabbed whatever there was. There weren't 6 million Jews in Germany. There weren't 6 million Jews in Poland. They brought them from all over. They brought them from all over to bring them together and put them into a gas chamber. It wasn't that they killed them. Listen, they didn't kill. Why did they shoot them down wherever they were? Why did they have to bring them to a gas chamber? What would it have been if they just shot them down? So someone wanted to say, some brainstorm wanted to say, well, if they brought them all to the crematoriums and maybe they could keep it quiet, but if they started shooting Jews down all over, that means they didn't shoot Jews down all over. Shot Jews all over. Without the light, the Churban Bet HaMikdash came. Without the light in our day, Churban has to be. Has to be. Why does it have to be? Because, like we say in the morning, the Or, Hashem is really at fault. It is his fault. Why is it his fault? Because when Avraham Azalai said, Hutra HaGzeira, he was telling us the message he got. That there is such a tremendous amount of light that's coming out now. That if you don't prepare yourself with this, you're going to get burnt out. You're going to get burnt out. That was Hutra HaGzeira. That's why it was Hutra HaGzeira. Because the light is here in its intensity. The light is so powerful. The light is so powerful that it's burning out water, it's burning out food, because it pesticides, all these things that are pollution are coming from where? Because the light wants to come, and the light is coming, and if we don't prepare the vessel, everything is going to get burned down. Like in Germany, everything got burned down. What happened on Shavuot? What happened in Mitzrayim? Jews got this tremendous surge of energy on Pesach. That's what we connect to. What happened? Why weren't they burnt out? Brother Shane. Zohar asked the question. You got to get burnt out. How come the firstborn weren't destroyed? How come the firstborn weren't destroyed? What does Zohar answer? He gave him Iyov. Zohar asked the question. He said he gave him Iyov. You remember that? That's his tshuva. Gave him Iyov. So he compares it like a shepherd has sheep, and the wolf is coming. What does he do? He takes the weakest ones, feeds the wolf one or two. Meanwhile, while he's busy with them, they run away. Do you remember? That was the Zohar's tshuva. Actually, it should have been burnt out, because the only way they could get out of Egypt was with this tremendous amount of light. Why didn't they get burnt out? So he answers because of Iyov. He gave the light, like Lahavdil, the wolf, he gave him someone else to be busy with. What? Yes, the strongest one, not the weakest one, that they can battle with him. That's right. What does that mean? The light still came, What do you mean? He brought the light into the battle with Iyov. If we're talking about a shepherd and he gives the strongest sheep to keep them busy until they can run away, now we understand. But we're talking about light. What do you mean he gave him Iyov? The light goes only in one place. Light is all over. Oh, what does it mean? Why weren't they burnt out? What? Ma? A Satan is burning out. What does Satan mean? What does Satan mean? Like an electric bulb. If I put a 220 current into a 110, burns out. So we say what burns out, because then the klipa comes. It's getting more than the thing can handle, and it also wants. So there's a protective measure, like in the bulb. So the klipa shouldn't get it, right? It cuts it off. Cuts it off. Same thing here. Here he gave him somewhere it could go, to Iyov. And meanwhile, the klipa also didn't get, because he was burnt out. He was the one burnt out. What about the rest of the Jews? Why were they entitled not to be burnt out? Why were they entitled not to be burnt out? Well, the answer is in the Torah. What did Rabbi Shimon, when he answered that kind of answer, he was giving us an answer not why the Jews weren't burnt out, but how was this possible? How was this possible? There had to be a runoff of the energy. That's what he wanted to say. But why weren't they burnt out? There was too much for them to handle. The answer was when they slaughtered. That's why they slaughtered the set. They slaughtered the lamb, took the blood, and according to Zohar, they took the blood of Milah, put it on the doorpost. Put it on the doorpost. That's all they did. That's all they did. And also, they did a little restriction with the matzah. Right? So little was done, but that was enough. That was enough. That was enough. To get all this energy and put a little blood on the two doorposts and the top, and do a little restriction with the bread was enough. And because he provided for a runoff, someone else should get burnt out. Someone else should get burnt out. This is what happened at Shavuot. What did they do? They did the Sfirat Ha'omer. Did the Jews get better? Did the Jews get better? They said, Nasa v'nishma. Remember? The way you learn in the yeshiva. The Jews said, God, whatever you have to tell us, we don't even want to hear it. If you say it's good for us, it must be good. We know that's not true. Why? Because he had to bend over the mountain. He bent over Mount Sinai, put the Jews in over there. He said, listen, if you don't accept the Torah, Sham Tehei Kfuratam. So what does it mean? That he didn't. That they weren't there. That they didn't completely understand. How do we know that they really weren't there? For two reasons. Number one, because it says he had to put them into like a sandwich. The mount bent over, the Jews were there, and he would close them up, they didn't accept. So it's an indication. What's the other indication? 40 days later, what'd they do? What'd they do 40 days later? Make a golden calf. We're so spiritual over here, right? Nobody more spiritual than us. Would we make a golden calf after 40 days? Would we make a golden calf after 40 days? Of course not. Who would do such a thing? Would we tell God, would we tell Moshe,
Would we tell Moshe after Korach? The Jews said, we want to know if it's Aharon or is it Korach? Who should be the Kohen Gadol? Right? What happens? Hashem says, I'll send down a fire. Send down a fire. You'll know which sacrifice I want. That's the one I want. In front of all the Jews, everyone saw it was Aharon they want. What happened the next day? The next day, not a week later, Moshe, what did you kill the Jews for? Moshe opened up the ground and Korach fell into the ground. Who did the earthquake? Moshe? The answer is, they were not spiritual. Even on Har Sinai, they went through the whole Omer. They did what they had to do. What does it tell us? That on Har Sinai there was Bila Mavet Lanetzach. How could there be Bila Mavet Lanetzach? Death was no longer going to exist. How could it be? What they do? Counted the Omer. We also count the Omer. What was there? What was there? It's not understandable. Why was it like that? So we learn a little from the Ari, and he'll give us the answer. Actually, maybe we'll learn the Zohar first. Oh, what is this Inyan of Shavuot? What's that? איפה זה? מישהו יודע? Oh, okay. All right, we'll stop at the question. The food is here, so we'll go downstairs and we'll continue. We have to daven in it also. Yeah. All right, we'll eat first. Okay.